The Deep Space Monitoring Station Horizon 7 drifted silently at the edge of human space, its sensors continuously scanning the vast emptiness between stars. Dr. Sarah Chen sat at her workstation, sipping synthetic coffee as she reviewed the day's data streams. After 15 years of listening to the cosmos, she had learned to find beauty in the endless patterns of background radiation and stellar noise. But today was different. Something caught her attention, a signal that didn't belong among the usual cosmic whispers. It pulsed with an artificial regularity that made her heart race. As she isolated the frequency, her hands trembled slightly over the holographic controls. "Computer, analyze signal pattern and compare against known catalogs," she commanded, her voice steady despite her growing excitement. The response came almost immediately, accompanied by a cascade of data that made her eyes widen. The signal bore hallmarks of incredibly advanced quantum encryption, but its architecture was unlike anything in current use. It predated modern galactic civilization by at least 10,000 years, matching theoretical models of the archivists, a species whose technological achievements had passed into legend. The archivists had vanished at the height of their civilization, leaving behind megastructures and mysteries that still puzzled archaeologists. Their disappearance had sparked countless theories, but no concrete answers. And now, after millennia of silence, one of their emergency beacons was active. Sarah initiated contact with Earth's Interstellar Rescue Command. Within minutes, Admiral Helena Torres's hologram materialized in the station's command center. Her weathered face showed the same intensity that had made her famous during the Venus colony crisis. "Dr. Chen, your preliminary report mentioned an archivist signal. Confirm your findings," Torres said without preamble. Sarah brought up the signal analysis. "The encryption patterns are unmistakable, Admiral. It's using quantum protocols that match recovered archivist artifacts. But here's what's really interesting. The signal is originating from within the void storm." The Admiral's expression darkened. The void storm was a massive region of space where reality itself seemed to break down. Other species avoided it entirely, considering it one of the galaxy's many forbidden zones. But Sarah knew humanity's history with forbidden zones. They were usually the places that needed help the most. "Location?" Torres asked, already reaching for her command tablet. "Coordinates are 957 Mark 332, approximately 3 light-years into the storm's outer boundary. The signal's degraded, but the distress patterns are clear. Someone's alive out there, Admiral. After all this time." Torres nodded slowly, her mind already working through the logistics. "The other spacefaring species, have they detected it?" "The Collective Council picked it up 6 hours ago. They've already classified it as a historical curiosity and advised all ships to avoid the region." Sarah couldn't keep the frustration from her voice. "They're not even considering a rescue attempt." "Of course they're not," Torres said with a grim smile. "That's why we built the Storm-class rescue ships. Humanity learned long ago that impossible just means no one's tried hard enough yet." The Admiral's fingers danced across her tablet, and Sarah's displays lit up with new data. 5 ships were being activated, massive vessels that represented the pinnacle of human rescue technology. Each one was designed to operate in conditions that would tear conventional ships apart. "Dr. Chen, I'm activating Rescue Fleet 7. The RSS Stormbreaker will serve as command ship, supported by the Tempest, Hurricane, Cyclone, and Maelstrom. We'll need your expertise on archivist technology. How quickly can you be ready for field deployment?" Sarah was already reaching for her go-bag. Every deep space researcher kept one ready. "I can be on a shuttle in 15 minutes, Admiral." "Good, because if there are survivors out there, they've waited long enough. Humanity didn't reach the stars by leaving people behind, no matter what species they might be." As Sarah prepared for departure, she could see the rescue fleet's signatures appearing on her long-range sensors. Their massive forms reflected the light of distant stars as they moved into formation, preparing for the jump to her location. These ships had been built for one purpose: to go where others couldn't, to save those others wouldn't. The void storm awaited them, its swirling energies visible even at this distance. Within its depths, an ancient civilization's call for help still echoed. And humanity, as it had always done, was answering that call. Because that's what humans did. They ventured into storms, into fire, into the very void itself. Not for glory or profit, but because someone, somewhere, needed help. And in that simple truth lay humanity's greatest strength: the unwavering determination to reach out and save lives, no matter the cost, no matter the risk. The rescue mission was about to begin. The RSS Stormbreaker hung in space, like a mountain forged from titanium and determination, its reinforced hull gleaming under the strange light of the void storm. On the bridge, Dr. Sarah Chen watched as reality itself seemed to twist and bend before them. The storm lived up to its reputation, a cosmic maelstrom where the normal laws of physics went to die. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood at the helm, her dark eyes focused on the swirling chaos ahead. Dr. Chen, final analysis of the distress signal. Sarah gestured at her holographic display, expanding the signal pattern. It's definitely getting stronger. Whatever's broadcasting, it is still active, still fighting after all this time. But she hesitated, studying the readings. There's something else in there. Embedded data packets we couldn't detect from the station. Engineering reports all systems nominal, Lieutenant James Cooper announced from his station. Quantum shields at maximum capacity. The fleet is in formation and ready for storm insertion. Admiral Torres's voice came through the command channel, addressing all 5 ships simultaneously. This is the kind of mission these ships were built for. Remember your training. Watch your neighbors. We go in together. We come out together. The void storm loomed before them, a perpetual twilight where energy patterns danced like demented auroras. Other species called it unsurvivable. Humans called it Tuesday. Storm insertion in 5. Rodriguez announced, her hands steady on the controls. 4, 3, 2, 1. Reality shuddered as the Stormbreaker crossed the storm's boundary. Warning indicators flared across every console as the ship's sensors tried to make sense of their surroundings. The quantum shields hummed, their harmonics changing to match the storm's chaotic frequencies. Multiple gravitational anomalies detected, Cooper reported, his fingers dancing across his console. Compensating. Hull stress within acceptable parameters. Sarah watched in fascination as space itself seemed to fold and unfold around them. The storm wasn't just a region of unusual physics. It was as if someone had taken the fundamental forces of the universe and put them in a blender. Signal strength increasing, she announced, focusing on her instruments. We're getting more of the embedded data now. It's a warning. What kind of warning? Rodriguez asked, never taking her eyes off the helm controls as she guided them through the chaos. Before Sarah could answer, space twisted violently. The Stormbreaker groaned as forces beyond normal comprehension tried to tear it apart. Through the command channel, they could hear the other ships reporting similar conditions. Gravitational shear exceeding safety margins, Cooper shouted. Multiple hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Emergency force fields holding. Rodriguez's hands flew over the controls, compensating for the sudden stress. Status on the rest of the fleet. Tempest and Hurricane reporting severe strain but holding formation. Communications officer Lisa Patul reported. Cyclones lost primary power, but their backups are online. Maelstrom's quantum shields are at critical, but they're managing. Sarah gripped her console as another wave of distortion washed over them. The embedded data was becoming clearer now, resolving into recognizable patterns. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures ahead. The warning, it's about some kind of containment system. The archivists were trying to hold something back. As if in response to her words, the storm's chaotic energies parted momentarily, revealing something that shouldn't have been possible. A massive structure floating in the void, its architecture clearly archivist in origin. But it wasn't just a research station or a colony. The facility's design suggested something far more ominous. All ships maintain formation, Admiral Torres commanded. Dr. Chen, what exactly were the archivists containing out here? Sarah's analysis programs were working overtime, processing the flood of new data. The facility appears to be some kind of temporal research station, but these readings... Admiral, they were experimenting with something fundamental, something about the nature of space-time itself. Another gravitational wave slammed into the fleet. The Stormbreaker's structural integrity alarms screamed as the ship fought against forces that would have atomized lesser vessels. Multiple systems failing. Cooper reported, "We can't take much more of this. We're not turning back," Rodriguez declared, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Not when we're this close. All power to quantum shields. Divert life support to emergency backups if you have to. We're getting to that station." Through the command channel, the other ship captains voiced their agreement. They had come too far to turn back now. The mystery of the archivist's disappearance might well lie within that station, along with whatever they had deemed dangerous enough to contain in this cosmic nightmare. As the fleet pushed forward through the storm's fury, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, were they about to discover why one of the most advanced civilizations in galactic history had vanished? And more importantly, were they about to unleash whatever the archivists had sacrificed themselves to contain? The answers lay ahead, in the heart of the impossible. The archivist station hung before them like a dream made manifest, a massive structure of impossible geometries and gleaming metal that somehow remained pristine despite millennia in the void storm. As the rescue fleet approached, emergency docking protocols activated automatically, ancient systems awakening to guide them home. Multiple viable docking ports detected, Lieutenant Cooper reported, his voice tight with concentration as he monitored the Stormbreaker's stressed systems. Station's automated systems are still functional. They're actually adapting to match our docking configurations. Admiral Torres's hologram flickered in the command center. "Dr. Chen, what are we looking at?" Sarah studied the cascade of data flowing across her screens. The station's architecture was revealing itself layer by layer, each new detail more astounding than the last. It's not just a research facility. It's a nexus point. The archivists were using it to study the fundamental nature of reality itself. These energy readings suggest they found something that changed everything. "Life signs?" Captain Rodriguez asked, her hand steady on the helm as she guided them toward the primary docking ring. "Yes," Sarah breathed, hardly daring to believe her instruments. "Thousands of them, all in some form of temporal stasis. The archivists didn't just disappear. They're still here, frozen in time." The docking procedure commenced with precision that belied the chaos of the surrounding storm. As the airlock seals engaged, Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. They were about to meet beings who had last walked freely when humanity was still figuring out bronze tools. "All ships report successful docking," Communications Officer Patel announced. "Station's environmental systems are automatically adjusting to support human life support requirements." Admiral Torres's expression was grim but determined. "We proceed as planned. Dr. Chen, you'll accompany the primary exploration team. Captain Rodriguez, secure our exit route. If something goes wrong, we'll need a quick way out." The exploration team assembled in the airlock. Sarah, a squad of technical specialists, and Chief Security Officer Raj Patel, whose calm demeanor betrayed his special forces background. As the inner doors cycled open, they found themselves stepping into history. The station's corridors were vast, their walls inscribed with flowing patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Holographic displays sprang to life around them, responding to their presence with streams of data in the ancient archivist language. "This is incredible," Sarah murmured, her handheld translator working overtime. "These displays, they're not just showing us the station's status. They're trying to warn us." "Warn us about what?" Raj asked, his hand never far from his weapon. Before Sarah could answer, a figure materialized before them. a holographic representation of an archivist. Its form was elegant, almost crystalline, with multiple limbs that moved with liquid grace. When it spoke, the station's systems automatically translated its words into a dozen different languages. "Welcome, children of Earth," the hologram said. "We have waited long for those who would brave the storm to answer our call. I am Guardian of Knowledge, the custodian of this facility and its terrible burden." Sarah stepped forward. "The archivists didn't vanish, did they? You chose to stay here, in stasis." "Correct." The hologram's form shifted, showing images of events from millennia past. "Our experiments here revealed something we were not prepared to find. A fundamental flaw in the fabric of reality itself. A crack in the universe, spreading slowly but inexorably. Our attempts to repair it only made it worse, creating what you now call the Void Storm." The hologram expanded, showing the full scope of the facility. At its heart was a chamber that seemed to bend light around itself, defying observation. "We could not repair the damage, so we chose to contain it. The storm is not chaos. It is a carefully maintained barrier, powered by the combined mental energy of our people in stasis. But after 10,000 years, the containment is finally beginning to fail." Raj's hand tightened on his weapon. "So this isn't just a rescue mission anymore. We're talking about preventing the end of the universe. The end of all universes," Guardian of Knowledge corrected. "The crack spreads across all possible realities. We have held it at bay, but we can no longer maintain the containment alone. That is why we activated the beacon. We needed to find a species with both the technological capability and the moral courage to help us. And you chose humans?" Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer. The hologram's form rippled with what might have been amusement. "We observed your kind from afar through the long millennia of our vigil. Other species achieve spaceflight for conquest or commerce. You did it to extend the reach of your rescue services. When faced with disaster, you do not flee. You rush in to help, even at great personal risk. That is exactly what we need now." From deeper in the station came a sound like reality itself groaning in pain. The hologram's form flickered. "The containment grows weaker by the moment. We offer you a choice. You may evacuate our people, saving them but dooming the universe, or you may help us reinforce the containment, knowing it will require sacrifices you cannot yet imagine." Sarah looked back toward the Stormbreaker, then at her fellow humans. In their eyes, she saw the same determination she felt. They all knew what the choice would be. It was the same choice humanity had made countless times before, from burning buildings to sinking ships to the depths of space itself. They would find a way to do both, to save lives and save reality. Because that's what humans did. They made the impossible possible, one rescue at a time. Admiral Torres stood in the Stormbreaker's main conference room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the facility's critical systems. The assembled crew members watched as Dr. Chen and Guardian of Knowledge explained the full scope of their challenge. "The containment system is ingenious," Sarah explained, manipulating the holographic model. "The archivists created a quantum feedback loop, using their combined consciousness to maintain a stable barrier around the reality fracture. But after 10,000 years, the mental strain is causing the system to break down." "Can't we just maintain the current system?" Captain Rodriguez asked. "Keep the archivists in stasis and find a way to reinforce the containment." The Guardian's crystalline form shimmered. "Negative. The strain has become too great. Even now, thousands of our people are beginning to fade from the neural network. Once too many connections are lost, the entire system will collapse." Lieutenant Cooper, who had been studying the station's power systems, suddenly straightened. "What if we didn't need their direct mental input? The quantum shields on our ships, they're designed to adapt to extreme space-time conditions. We might be able to modify them to simulate the containment effect." Sarah's eyes widened as she ran the calculations. That could actually work. The Void Storm itself is partially powered by the containment system. If we could integrate our shield technology with the archivist systems, We'd need an enormous amount of power, Chief Engineer Marcus Wong interrupted. More than all 5 ships combined could generate. Then we'll build something bigger. Admiral Torres's voice cut through the discussion. Dr. Chen, how long would it take to wake the archivists safely? With their automated medical systems, maybe 48 hours for a complete revival cycle. But Admiral, the containment system is failing now. We don't have that kind of time. Torres smiled grimly. Then we'll make time. Captain Rodriguez, contact the fleet. I want every power core we have linked into the station's systems. Lieutenant Cooper, work with Dr. Chen to adapt our shield technology. We don't need a permanent solution. We just need to hold things together long enough to get those people out. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. The rescue fleet was essentially torn apart and rebuilt around the station, their systems integrated in ways their designers had never imagined. Every crew member worked with desperate intensity, knowing that reality itself hung in the balance. Sarah found herself working alongside Archivist Az, combining technologies separated by 10 millennia into something entirely new. The Guardian provided crucial insights, helping them bridge the gap between human innovation and archivist precision. Warning, the station's automated systems announced. Containment stability at 18% and falling. Critical failure predicted within 3 hours. Status report. Torres demanded, her hologram appearing simultaneously on all ships. Shield integration is at 89%, Cooper reported from his makeshift control center. The simulation models are holding, but we're still short on power. The revival process is accelerating, Sarah added, monitoring the stasis pods. We've successfully awakened about 100 archivists, but that's barely made a dent in their numbers. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. The reality fracture was expanding, sending waves of distortion through the facility. Emergency bulkheads slammed down as entire sections began to twist in impossible ways. Containment at 12%. The Guardian's voice echoed through the chaos. The fracture is becoming unstable. If it breaches completely, the resulting cascade will tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. Torres's expression hardened. How much power do you need? At least triple what we currently have, Cooper replied. But even if we overloaded every system we've got. The Stormbreaker, Rodriguez interrupted. Its main reactor core, if we detonated it in a controlled manner inside the containment field. The power surge would either stabilize the field or tear the station apart. Wong finished. It's theoretically possible, but someone would have to manually trigger the overload. The automation systems aren't fast enough to compensate for the quantum fluctuations. A heavy silence fell over the command channel. Everyone knew what that meant. It would be a one-way trip. I'll do it, Rodriguez said quietly. My ship, my responsibility. No, Admiral Torres's voice was firm. I'm still in command here. Besides, I got more experience with reactor systems than any of you. Get those archivists out. That's an order. Humanity's rescue fleet never leaves anyone behind, and we're not starting today. As Torres headed for the Stormbreaker's reactor core, Sarah looked at the awakening archivists. Their ancient eyes held a mix of wonder and sorrow as they witnessed humanity's willingness to sacrifice everything to save not only them, but all of reality itself. The final countdown had begun, but in humanity's darkest hour, their light would shine brightest, even if it meant burning themselves out to illuminate the way forward. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as Admiral Torres made her way through the Stormbreaker's twisting corridors toward the reactor core. The ship's superstructure groaned under the increasing strain of the reality fracture, but its systems remained steady, a testament to human engineering and determination. In the station's revival center, Dr. Sarah Chen worked frantically alongside the awakened archivists, their crystalline forms moving with fluid grace as they helped revive their people. Through the command channel, she could hear the status updates growing increasingly dire. Containment at 8%, Guardian of Knowledge announced. Admiral Torres, The reactor overload must be precisely timed with the shield harmonics, or both containment systems will fail. Understood, Torres replied, her voice steady despite everything. Cooper, give me those final calculations. Lieutenant Cooper's fingers flew across his console. Transmitting now. Admiral, it's been an honor. Save it for someone who's dying, Lieutenant, Torres said with a hint of her old humor. I got no intention of failing here. The station shuddered as another reality wave hit. Through the observation windows, they could see the void storm intensifying, its chaotic energies reflecting the growing instability at its heart. The fracture was fighting back, as if it sensed their attempts to contain it. We've revived nearly 30% of the archivists, Sarah reported, trying to keep her voice professional. But the revival system is showing signs of strain. We're losing stability in sections 3 through 7. Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos. All hands, prepare for emergency maneuvers. We're going to use the remaining ships to reinforce the station's structural integrity. Engineering, divert all remaining power to the shield network. As the rescue fleet moved into position, Sarah watched in awe as the awakened archivists joined their efforts. Their advanced technological knowledge, combined with human determination and ingenuity, created solutions that neither species could have devised alone. Admiral, Guardian of Knowledge suddenly announced, our sensors detect an anomaly in the reactor core calculations. The power surge. It may be possible to survive it. Explain, Torres demanded, her footsteps never faltering as she approached the core. The human capacity for self-sacrifice, the Guardian's voice held a note of wonder. It creates a unique resonance pattern in the quantum field. If we can synchronize that pattern with the containment field at the moment of overload, we could stabilize the entire system. Sarah finished, understanding dawning. Admiral, your willingness to sacrifice everything, it's not just inspiring us. It's actually affecting the quantum mechanics of the situation. Torres reached the reactor core, her hands moving swiftly over the controls. That's all very fascinating, Doctor, but I got a universe to save. Stand by for power surge in 3, 2. Time seemed to slow as the Stormbreaker's reactor began its controlled overload. The ship's quantum shields, merged with archivist technology and powered by human sacrifice, created something entirely new. A bridge between what was possible and what was necessary. The surge hit like a supernova, but instead of destruction, it brought transformation. The reality fracture, caught in a web of human determination and archivist precision, began to stabilize. The void storm itself seemed to calm, its chaotic energies becoming part of the solution rather than the problem. When the light faded, Sarah rushed to check the readings. The containment field had not only stabilized, it had evolved into something self-sustaining. And there, in the heart of the reactor core, Admiral Torres stood amid the swirling energies, somehow still alive. Status report, Torres asked calmly, as if she hadn't just rewired the fabric of reality. Containment field stable at 100%. Guardian of Knowledge reported with what sounded like awe. The fracture is fully contained and shrinking. Admiral, you've done the impossible. No, Torres corrected, making her way back to the bridge. We did the necessary. There's a difference. In the days that followed, as the last of the archivists were revived and the station was secured, the true magnitude of what had been accomplished became clear. Humanity had not only saved an ancient civilization, they had helped repair a tear in reality itself. The archivists, awakening to a galaxy far different from the one they left, found themselves with new allies who shared their deepest values: the preservation of life and the willingness to risk everything to help others. As the rescue fleet prepared to escort the archivist station out of the now calmed void storm, Sarah stood with Guardian of Knowledge, watching the ships move into formation. Your people continue to surprise us, the Guardian observed. When we first detected human civilization, we saw your conflicts, your struggles, your apparent limitations. But now we understand. Your greatest strength lies not in your technology or even your determination, but in your fundamental nature. Which is? Sarah asked, curious. You make the impossible possible by simply refusing to accept that it cannot be done. And in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. The Guardian's form shifted, displaying images of stars and galaxies. Perhaps that is why you were chosen. Chosen to be the guardians of life, not just on your world or in your sector, but throughout the cosmos. Your rescue fleets will be needed again, Dr. Chen. The universe holds many more mysteries and many more beings in need of help. Sarah smiled, watching as the fleet aligned for their journey home. Then we'll be ready. Because that's what humans do. We help. Everything else is just details. The ships jumped to faster than light travel, carrying with them a legacy greater than any empire or achievement. The proof that in the face of impossible odds, the human spirit would not just endure, but triumph, not for glory or power, but for the simple, profound duty of helping others in need.